Hi everybody, welcome to my homestead and welcome to my channel. My name is Jared, and in this video I want to talk about the second coming and how when it happens it's going to be fast. It's going to be really fast. And it shouldn't surprise anybody that's watching for the signs of the times. That's the primary purpose of this channel, is to keep watching for things. Earlier today, I'm recording this Wednesday night. Earlier today I put out a video about the Beirut explosion. Really dramatic. If you haven't watched that video, you really should, because I talk about all the ins and outs, why it possibly happened, and where it fits in historically compared to other explosions like Nagasaki, Hiroshima. It's right after that. It's in the number 3 spot. It wasn't a nuclear explosion, but it was essentially on the same level, or at least really close. It happened in August 4th of 2020. And after I'd made the video, I couldn't really stop thinking about it and just like how dramatic it was. And so I was just like going over it in my mind. And I realized that it's like a very fitting symbol and metaphor for the second coming itself. And let me show you what I mean. Okay, we're going to look at this video. So imagine that this is the world, right? Now this fire, it kind of had a few different phases. First, there was just kind of like a regular fire, you know, and then after that, it made its way into what I've seen called the first explosion, which was essentially all these like fireworks and stuff going off in a really dramatic way. So you started to see smoke, and then the smoke got bigger at one point. Okay. And then comes the second explosion, which was the main explosion. And this smoke and this initial part of the fire, I think that this is the phase that we're in right now. You know, when the fire started and the smoke started rising, you could compare that to the beginning of this dispensation from the time of Joseph Smith until now. And, you know, I don't know if the Lord, you know, had this be specifically a symbol for what I'm talking about right now, but again, it fits pretty well. The second explosion, where things got really intense with like the fireworks and stuff, I feel like if I were to match that up with anything in real life in this metaphor, I would match it up with the year 2020, the exact year that this actually happened. 2020, I don't need to tell you, woke up many people. It shook them. It was like bizarro world that year, and things really haven't been too normal ever since, frankly. We've had all these natural disasters, crazy wars that I never thought that I would see, namely the Ukraine war. Okay, so it's almost like we went into a different phase starting with the year 2020. That's the year that we had the special conference in April with the Hosanna shout, the new church symbol, which focused on Christ and his resurrection, the new proclamation. Okay, so imagine this. As I watched through all these videos, and if you go to my recommended videos playlist, there's one video there that's almost 3 hours long that just shows all the different angles of this disaster that happened. So many different angles. We're living in the age of smartphones, so this was pretty well documented visually. And what I saw time and time again is people standing, watching the smoke, you know, and to their credit, there's no way that they could have known that that day there'd basically be a nuclear explosion in their city. And I say that just because it was, you know, almost as effective as a nuclear bomb. Again, it comes in right after the two nuclear bombs in World War II. But you had all these people just kind of standing and watching you know, and you can think what was going on in their minds, you know, people going to work. There was one video where I saw a guy jogging, you know, people going about their lives. There's videos of people shopping, you know, they're in clothing stores or they're at work, they're going in for an interview or something like that. And they're aware that there's this kind of crazy event going on. But like you and I would probably assume, if it was happening where we live, we would just be like, wow, that is a really wild fire. Like something really big is burning over there. And in your mind, you would probably play out, I'm sure that I would play out like, well, you know, the firefighter is going to show up. It might take some time because this is a larger than normal blaze, but they'll take care of it. And then we'll hear about it on the news tonight or something like that. But this is what actually happened. Okay. So in that situation, again, I guarantee 100% of the people expected that that was going to be the future. They were just going to go home later that night, watch the news, check their phones, see what it actually was. But this is what actually happened. Smoke, boom. And look how fast that was. Watch it again. There's no time. There's absolutely no time to even think. Look at these buildings in the foreground. Look at these right here. There is no time because something completely unexpected happened. And thankfully for you and me, we see the smoke, but we're not thinking that, oh, it's just going to, you know, peter out. It's going to be taken care of by the United Nations, by the saviors in society. No, we see the writing on the wall for the world and for the powers that be. Here's another video. There's just not even time. The person is like holding their phone or whatever, watching this, and it literally gets knocked out of their hand. And this is the situation, metaphorically speaking, that people are going to find themselves in at the second coming when the test is over as far as like telestial lifestyle goes. The test of rising above a telestial law and lifestyle is suddenly and dramatically going to be over. And there's not going to be any time to act. So when President Nelson in 2019, in the April General Conference, in his talk called Come Follow Me, when he says that time is running out, very kindly, the Lord is letting us see the smoke. And I don't think that we're looking at just the initial smoke, you know, when it was still relatively small. I think that the first explosion, metaphorically speaking, has happened. And at any second, we could find ourselves potentially in a world of hurt if we're not where we're supposed to be in our lives. And it's really sad because many of us have people in our lives that are not going to be ready for this. You know, maybe they were once a member of the church, but now they're not. Maybe they're still in the church, but they're less active. They are breaking their covenants. You know, maybe they show up to Sunday every week, but they're a terror. You know, they're not the real thing. And it's going to be a very rude awakening when this happens. You know, so I just thought that this was so fitting. You know, we have the parable of the 10 virgins, which describes the same thing, that the 10 virgins, they didn't have enough oil, and then suddenly it was too late. So I think we would all do best to maybe think about this in our minds as well, because this is maybe closer to what we're physically going to be seeing. Not that we're going to not that we're necessarily going to be seeing mushroom clouds. I don't know what it's going to look like when the earth is burned. I don't know if it's just like all of a sudden intense heat all over the planet and people, become ashes like what you see in the Marvel movies, like Infinity War and Endgame. I don't know if it's like that. I don't know if it's like a big fire that makes its way across the earth. I kind of tend to doubt that scenario, but I don't know. Frankly, I don't know. But however it plays out, however it plays out, it's going to be intense, and it's going to be hot, and it's going to be sudden. So I feel like this is a pretty good, maybe, representation of what's ahead. And I think that we would do well to take the signs of the times seriously, instead of having the attitude, that's just a fire. Fires happen sometimes. Sometimes they're bigger, sometimes they're smaller. Well, in this case, it was not just a fire. When we see disasters rising or increasing in the world, and it doesn't matter if it's natural disasters, it doesn't matter if it's war, it doesn't matter if it's politics, it doesn't matter if it's whatever, things that are out of the ordinary that seem to indicate that the world is broken. Those are signs of the times. Just a few minutes before this, I did the live stream. You don't really need to watch that. But basically, all of a sudden, we came home from doing some errands in Wichita, and I saw, I don't know how I saw this. I still can't remember how this came up. I don't know if it was like on my, no, it wasn't YouTube. I don't know how I saw this, but there were tornadoes, multiple tornadoes touching down in the Chicago area. And, tomorrow, the next day, maybe next week, I'll have to revisit it and see, does it seem like it was like really out of the ordinary? Does it seem like it was a sign? And, maybe it was a sign of sorts. It's a major city. Whenever things happen to major cities, that's especially important because signs are for people to view. And where do most people live? Or where are there like high concentrations, densities of people? Major cities. And Chicago is one of the largest in the United States. They just had these tornadoes. And then before that, the skies were darkened over Chicago by wildfires in Canada. Canada is experiencing, if you didn't see the videos that I did, it's currently experiencing its largest wildfire season in its history. These are signs. And in that case, literally fire is raging, smoke is going all over the place, including all the way over to Europe, by the way. I didn't cover that, but it did make its way across the Atlantic. Wildfire smoke from Canada going across the Atlantic. The only place that I saw was like Spain and Portugal, but it may have made its way to other places too. So you guys, if you tend to dismiss these signs, the signs of the times, I really would not if I were you. I would take them dead serious. Even more than that, I would be urgent about making sure that your life is straight right now. Right now, while there's still time. And like I said, when I did the video about this incident, it's making me think twice about if there's like something going on, because, like stopping and watching or whatever. I think maybe just the best idea is just to go the opposite direction. This event, it shattered windows of any, car or building within 10 kilometers of it. And obviously the closer you were to it, the more injuries you probably were likely to sustain. You know, because we're talking about a pressure wave. It was, well, I'm not going to describe everything, but bad, bad injuries that you wouldn't wish on anybody, not even your worst enemy. With President Nelson saying that time is running out, with him doing this big call up of missionaries in April of 2022, with Sister Nelson saying that, alluding to or hinting to the fact that it's time to board the ark. I really, really think it's time to board the ark. And the way that you do that is you get on the covenant path. If you're not already on it, if you happen to be someone that's not a member of this church, you do that by getting baptized. Look for the missionaries. Get a copy of the Book of Mormon. They can bring you a Bible too. We use them both. Get on the covenant path. Get baptized. And then you progress down the covenant path. You do that by taking the sacrament every Sunday. You go to the temple. You get your initiatories and your endowments, and then you get married and get sealed in the temple. And once you perform those ordinances, or once you participate, once you partake of, once you receive these things, then you keep your covenants. And if you mess up, it's fine. That's the whole point of Christ, is to give us a way to fix things. Like he's the one that fixes things, but we do the work to repent, ask for forgiveness, make amends where you need to, right? And then you just endure to the end. And nobody's wishing this on anybody, when the second coming happens, but it is the great and dreadful day of the day of the Lord. There's the dreadful aspect, which is the cleansing of the earth of the wicked. But here we can stop watching this. I just really want to put that into your mind. It's scary. It's scary, and pretty soon the whole world is gonna face a similar thing. So I guess that's pretty much all that I have for this one. I am going to be talking to Rabbi Gerfein tomorrow, so we're going to continue talking about the 12 tribes of Israel. Up until now, we've only been talking about the 3 tribes that would have been on the east side of the tabernacle: Judah, Issachar, and Naphtali, or Naphtali, however you want to pronounce it. And then we're going to move on to Reuben, and I can't remember who's on the south, but we'll talk about it tomorrow. Well, I guess one more thing. While you still have a chance, give the Book of Mormon to those that are on your contact list. On Facebook, in your phone, your contacts. Give them the chance, because there could still be time. We can't take it for granted. So we need to act now. Act as soon as possible. Okay, well, that's going to be it for this one. So if you haven't already, please make sure to subscribe, like this video if you liked it, leave your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. Also make sure to share it, and I'll talk to you guys later.